Great. Since we're going to be talking about homes tonight and buying a home, put in the chat what type of home you're looking for, where in the area you're looking to buy a home, and what that home looks like. I'll also put in the chat myself. Single story. I love the white oak floors, that wide plank. Um, let's see what else. I say 3 beds. Um, Definitely an office. What do y'all look? If y'all could wave a magic wand, what type of home would you like to buy? Would it be brand new? Do you want to buy new construction, or are you interested in buying a condo? Maybe something that's, I don't know, in a high rise, or do you want some land, or what types of things do you want in a home? Am I the only one that wants that put in their information about what they want in a house? 2 beds and a condo. I love that. Just give other people just a couple more minutes and we'll get started. Treehouse style townhome. I think I have that house for you, Andrew. I think I have the one. It's in Travis Heights. All right. Before this, how many seconds do we have left here? Oh, 4 bed, wood floors, vintage stained glass. Ooh, pretty. You could also get some stained glass if you went to like Round Top, during the Round Top when they have all of the um vintage stuff for sale. There's a couple of weekends a year you can go and you can buy all kinds of vintage stained glass and vintage doors and vintage windows and all of that. Really, really cool. Oh yeah, that is loud. So that is really loud. So welcome to the home buyers class. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight. I hope you've had a great day. The weather has been stunning in Austin this month. I was just talking to a client a little bit ago who's going to be selling their house out in the Lakeway area, and we were talking about how lucky we've been in the Austin area in May. Normally it's already in the 90s, but it's so beautiful here right now. Um, just want to share that we want you to feel in control of the home buying process. That's why we're doing this. My business partner, Andrew, and I are doing this, and we have spent a lot of time, effort, and energy to put this together for you so you feel at ease with the home buying process and you understand a whole lot more after this. Um, we have you every step of the way, no matter what. There is a little bit of housekeeping here. We have one coming on here. We have just a little bit of housekeeping for you. This is a completely free training. We have put the effort, energy, and time into this to provide quality information and valuable information to you. So thank you again for being here. At any point in time, you can book a call with us. You can see the QR code in the bottom of the screen here. We'll show that QR code a couple of times, few times throughout the home buying class. And at any point in time, you can click that with your phone and go ahead and book a one-on-one call with us. There is a chat where you can post your questions. If you have specific questions that you don't want to share with the group, you can actually ask their questions privately, and then I can answer them um, without you saying necessarily if you didn't want to post everything to everyone. Um, so, um, so let's, if you could wave a magic wand, it's such the American dream to buy a home. And the way the United States laws are written, government has built things in place so most Americans can buy a home. It is the American dream. It's your sanctuary. It's the place where you have your neighbors and you build community in your neighborhood, walking your dog and you get to know your neighbors. It's where you bring your friends over, have games, cook out. It's where you build your family. It is it is a true dream to actually own a home. It's it's very, very special. And I can honestly say the reason I got into real estate is one of the main reasons is to help people with the home buying process, especially those that have not done it before, because it is it is so much fun to walk into your house the day of closing and know that it is yours, know that you're building your own equity, know that if you want to paint the walls purple, you can paint the walls purple. Doesn't matter what. You can do anything that you want to the house to make it yours, and you don't have to ask permission from your landlord. So, buying a home is likely the largest financial transaction that you're going to make. The client I was speaking to today, she said, I'm selling this house after 15 years, and really and truly, it's a major portion of my retirement. So a lot of people use their homes. They buy them now, and 10, 15, 20 years from now, they get ready to sell them and use the proceeds as paying part of their retirement. So it is a huge financial transaction. I'm just curious, are you concerned? If you'll put in the chat, if you're concerned, if you're worried, if you're curious, what are your thoughts about buying a home right now? Does it make you anxious a little bit? Any thoughts? Uncertain. Yeah. Just not sure about the home buying process. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So that's where we come in. We want to guide you, to educate you. We want to be your home buying team. We have amazing people around us to help you with every step of the process. We have fabulous communication tools, systems set up. We have incredible inspectors and lenders and people that help with showings and et cetera. It's incredible. It takes an entire team to help you through the entire home buying process. And we are here no matter what, every step of the way. So let me introduce you to the team. I'm Kim Wilkin, and I've been licensed for 14 years. I was an investor before that. My business partner, who is on the right side of the screen and also on the call tonight, he is Andrew Pierce, and he lives in North Austin. I live in South Austin. We make a great team together. And between us, we've done almost 1,000 transactions. So you name it, we've probably seen it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what process you're going to go through, what pitfalls and things might happen during the home buying process. We've got you 100% of the way. In addition to Andrew and I, we have showing specialists, we have an assistant, a transaction coordinator, social media. When you get ready to sell your property, you'll need online presence for that as well. So we have an entire team to support you with your home buying process. It is not a one-man game. Definitely, this industry is not a one-man game. It takes an entire team to successfully get you through the finish line. So, a little bit about me personally. I am a Longhorn, Hook'em. I grew up in Alabama, so that's where I got that accent. If you notice that it's not quite a Texas accent, it's a little bit of Alabama in it. I actually was a ski instructor in my 20s in Austria. I spoke German. I speak a little Spanish. I love language. I love to dance. I love all things Austin. I've been here since I was in college, and that was a long time ago. I actually moved to 78704, which is the down by South Congress, in 1990 when it was a very different city. So I have seen the city change exponentially over the past 30 something years. So that's crazy to think I've been here 30 something years. So who do we help? We help first-time homebuyers, people relocating, people that are buying investments for their business, investors, move up and downsizers. You can see on the left, you can see Caroline. She was a first-time homebuyer. She bought a great little house in Easton Park in Southeast Austin. The ladies in the middle, they actually are a nonprofit helping women who have been trafficked. And this was a house they bought for their new office, which is it was a really rewarding experience for me to help them with their property. On the right, two of my favorite clients, they bought and sold with me as well, Matt and Tom. You can also see here, if you look on the right, this photo, this is Luke and Daisy. They are about to have their first kiddo. And this was their first home that they had ever bought. They actually moved here from California where they couldn't afford to buy a home. And they ended up buying a house up in Georgetown and then had their first child. So um, it doesn't really matter who your client, who you are, or where you are in the home buying process. We can help you. Whether it's Georgetown, South Austin, Manchac, Lakeway, it doesn't, Cedar Park, Leander, it really doesn't matter. Whether you are looking for new construction, we do lots of new construction as well as resale homes. So you got it. We got you. We are going to partner with you, lock arms with you, and get you through the finish line. So, what are the steps to homeownership? Well, first and foremost, come to this class and learn the mistakes to avoid. We're going to cover 5 mistakes today and stay to the end because I have a bonus mistake that I'm going to share with you. Learn the home buying process and then build your home buying team. And that includes me and Andrew and all the people that we can help introduce you to and help you through the process. Next is getting a pre-qualification from a lender. It's great to go look at houses, but you really don't know what you can afford until you've actually spoken to a lender. You want to have your initial conversation. You have so many documents that you have to deliver to a lender to ensure that you can purchase a home. That includes your W-2s, your pay stubs. I make it a joke what you have to turn into your lender. I say you have to give your firstborn and what color underwear you wear on Tuesdays. You name it, they want to know it. But what they're trying to do is ensure that you are qualified to purchase the home. And they also want to make sure that you're not getting into a home where you're underwater. So that's next. First is your home buying team. Second is discussing with your lender. Third is house hunting. And these days with house hunting, most people today start their home search online with Zillow, with Redfin, with Trulia, with Realtor.com. It's quite common. Back 20 years ago when I first started in the industry, I would go out and I would show, you know, 15 homes today, and then we'd go out the next day and we'd see another 15 homes, and then you'd go out the next weekend and you'd see another 15 homes and another 15 homes. Well, because so much is available online now and there's so much information online, it's quite common to only see 5, 6, 7 homes over the entire home buying process before someone finds their dream home. And what's really funny is it's quite common also, it's not all the time, but it does happen that people find their dream home the first day they go out. Now, it's really not the first day they go out. It may be the first day they go out with us, but they've already been to some open houses. They've already done some research online. We've already provided the steps to help them find the right neighborhood, find the right style of house. And so actually going and turning on lights and looking at homes, it's a lot fewer homes than it used to be. Well, the final thing is going under contract in the home buying process. You go through your final lending procedures, you go through your condo review, your HOA information, you finish up your financing, you close at the title company, and then you get the keys to your beautiful new home. I know that sounds like a piece of cake, and it is a piece of cake with the right team. So, no matter where you are in the process, we're here to help. So, let's go ahead and get started with these five mistakes. So, mistake number one is going house shopping before you're actually pre-qualified. This is a big no-no. It's a big no-no because you really don't know what you can afford if you go looking at houses before you have a pre-qualification. Additionally, you cannot submit an offer without having a pre-qualification either. Um, when we submit an offer for you, we will have talked to your lender and we will have asked them to provide a pre-qualification with the numbers specific to that home that we turn in with your contract. And if you don't have that, there's no way that a seller or a listing agent is going to let their seller client accept your offer because there's no proof that you can actually purchase the home, which is pretty crazy. So, additionally, you want to make sure that you get this taken care of in advance. I mean, it's great to go to open houses. It's a lot of fun to go to open houses and go look at multi-million dollar open houses, which I do as well. But the bank definitely wouldn't give me enough money to buy a multi-million dollar house on Lake Austin at this point in time. Maybe one day if I win the lottery, but not today. So, you definitely want to know if you're going to be able to buy a $200,000 house, a $300,000 house, a $400,000 house, a $500,000 house. We just don't know. So, and where do you start with the with the mortgage process? Well, the first thing you want to do is ask us for our lender partners. We have several lender partners that we can recommend to you. And this is really, really valuable with lenders. You want to make sure that you're using a local lender, someone that knows our market, someone that will give you their cell phone where the listing agent can actually call your lender on a Saturday night and confirm that you are actually pre-qualified. You want to make sure you have a lender that can hold your hand through the entire process. You want to make sure that you have a lender that will close on time. Those are the most important things. At the end of the day, a lot of lenders, in fact, most lenders will make about the same amount of money. You may get a little bit of a discount in the interest rate, but they're going to charge you more in fees up front. Or maybe it's less fees up front and it's a little bit higher interest rate. It really depends on your individual circumstances as well as what works for you, whether you know where you want your fees to be paid. Because really and truly, most lenders at the end of the day, it's a couple $100 between all of them as to which one you choose. You choose the one that's going to help you get through the finish line, get closed on time, get everything done, and one that is going to hold your hand and explain everything to you. That's what's most important. So, in the mortgage process, I'm not a lender, but we're going to touch a little bit on mortgages for just a moment. There are six different types of mortgages. We have conventional, FHA, USDA, VA. We have, bear with me one second, um, and non-QM loans. We're going to touch on some of them. We're not going to touch on USDA first because it's mostly for rural properties, and I'm sure that most people on this call are not going to be buying something out into the countryside. The most common mortgages that you guys will be using for buying a home are either conventional or FHA. Conventional is the typical loan mortgage that most people think of when they think about buying a home and getting a mortgage. It's all dependent on your credit score, on your debt to income ratio. It's called DTI. It's how much debt you have compared to how much income you have coming in. So if you have a car payment or credit card payments, that all goes into your debt portion of your debt to income ratio. And what is super interesting is a lot of people think that they have to put 20% down to buy a house. Well, that's not true. FHA loans are as little as 3.5% down. and their credit scores are much less than a conventional loan. Conventional loans, you can actually put as little as 3% down. It just depends on who you are and what your individual details are from your income, your debt to income, your credit score, and your lending history. So most loans are typically 30 years, but you can also get a 15-year mortgage if you'd like. And right now they are talking about and beginning to give 40-year mortgages. I don't know if I'd want a 40-year mortgage. I don't know if I'd want to be paying on my house for 40 years. But that is becoming available now. Um, all of these loans, no matter what they are, they do have closing costs to them. And so when you are purchasing a home, your closing costs are typically about 2 to 2.5% of the sales price of the house, but we'll get to that in a minute. Besides conventional and FHA loans, the next most common are VA loans. So if you've been in the military and you have had 90 days of active duty and 81 days of peacetime, or you've been 6 months in the reserves, you can get a VA loan. One of the nice things about a VA loan is the fact that a lot of the VA loans are 0% down, which means that you can actually ask the seller to pay some of your closing costs and you don't have a down payment. So you can actually move into a house with a VA loan with almost zero money in, which would be amazing if you are a vet. So next is becoming more and more popular. These are called non-QM loans or non-qualified mortgage. As the world changes, everything basically changed after COVID. Um, we have many more people working remotely. We have many more people working independently with 1099s, etc. And a non-QM loan is a loan that is used for someone that is self-employed. If they have a 1099 or they have a business. Like us as realtors, we would use a non-QM loan because there's nobody giving us a W-2 at the end of the day. So we have to use things for non-QM loans. So non-QM loans are anybody that need that have a 1099 and still need to purchase a primary home. So, you know, it's a little daunting to think that even with 3 to 3.5% down with conventional and FHA, plus 2 to 2.5% of closing costs, that's 6-7% that you're looking at a minimum to put down and your closing costs for a house. That can be a little daunting to some, especially when you're trying to save for retirement or you're trying to grow your family or you're changing jobs. Or speaking of, when you want to buy a house, don't change your job. But we'll get to that in a minute. But there are things out there, down payment assistance programs where you can actually have county, state, government entities help you cover the cost of your down payment and your closing costs. So, what is a DPA or a down payment assistance program? It's a broad name for anything. It's like a scholarship. If you went to college or went to school and tried to apply for scholarships, there are scholarships for every single thing out there. If basket weaving and, coloring your hair and I don't know, anyway, all these things. There's scholarships for everything. Well, DPAs are basically the same kind of thing. There are hundreds of DPAs out there where you can actually go get some assistance for your down payment. They're typically 3 to 5% of the loan price, the loan value of the house. So, for example, the way you qualify them, it's your income, it's what county, what state you live in, it's dependent on your credit score. It depends on what they're offering. So basically, what happens if you're going to try and get a down payment assistance, you're getting qualified for your loan here. And then on the other side, you're having to get qualified for a down payment assistance. It's basically getting qualified twice. One is your real loan, your real mortgage, and the other is that 3 to 5% of your loan value to get them to pay. So it's a lot, there's a lot of details that goes into the lending process. So if you're going to use a DPA, you're basically doing all that paperwork twice. And I promise your lender will help you and they'll guide you also what DPAs are best for you. So because it's great to get free money, it's like winning the lottery. There are three types of DPAs. The first one is a true grant. You get the money, you never have to pay anybody back. The second is a forgivable second mortgage. So, for example, you get your mortgage, if you do a FHA at 3.5% down, you are actually borrowing 96.5% of the sales price of the house. Well, if you're getting a DPA of say 3 or 4%, what they're doing is they're making it a second mortgage on top of your first mortgage. And typically, if it's forgivable, you have to live in the house 3 to 5 years and then they will forgive the loan. The last one is a non-forgivable, which means you got to pay back the DPA as well as you got to pay your mortgage, which of course we will try and find you a completely gifted grant DPA. So this is a little example of what a down payment assistance program will look like. First, we have Susan. I just made up her name. Susan wants to buy a house. The sales price is $400,000. She's going to use a conventional loan at 3.5% down. I chose 3.5% because 3.5% is also what an FHA down payment is. So her total loan value is, if she's putting 3.5% down, she's putting $14,000 down. That means that her loan value is $386,000. So, in this process, the lender that we helped connect you with, or connect Susan with, she got a 5% DPA, which means that she has a government entity or some type of down payment assistance program give her $19,300 for her down payment and closing costs, which is insane. It's crazy to think that you could get almost $20,000 for free through a program like this. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, the government has set things up so we can all purchase a home. It is the American dream. We are one of the only countries in the world where more and more people, well, a lot of people actually own a home. A lot of countries that I go to, and I've been all over this world, I've actually been to more than 70 countries, and so few countries have people that actually own their homes. Most everybody rents. And, homes are owned by landlords, owned by government entities, etc. So it's the government in the United States has set things up to where we can own homes. We can own our own home and build wealth for ourselves. That was a little sidebar. But so the DPA is $19,300 for Susan, which means that $19,300 actually covers her entire $14,000 down payment. Additionally, she has $5,300 to cover her closing costs, which is crazy. She's basically going to get into this $400,000 home with almost zero money, kind of like a VA loan, which would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a lot of information, isn't it? It's a lot of info. The types of loans, what DPAs are. It's pretty crazy to think all of this information and all of this has to be done, not all of it, but the precursor of all this needs to be done before you actually start going to look for homes. So let's move on. What are typical closing costs? Closing costs are the fees you pay to your lender. They have to make a living. The points are when you buy down your interest rate. Lender fees, there's always some type of lender fee. Most of the time you have escrow accounts. Escrow accounts mean that your mortgage is holding a portion of your taxes and insurance. And so you pay in 1/12 of your insurance and 1/12 of your taxes each and every month. And your mortgage company holds that for you. So that's part of your closing costs as well. There are attorney fees, there are title fees. Here in the state of Texas, we close every home with a title company. It's a company that all the contracts go through, all the monies go through. It's where the seller goes to sign documents. It's where you, the buyer, goes to sign documents. Um, it's where the title policy is drawn up. It's where everything happens. Everything goes through the title company in the state of Texas. And so they charge a fee as well. Title insurance, which is ensuring that no one is going to come knock on your door and say that the house is theirs. It's pretty crazy to think here in the state of Texas, title insurance is very important because you could have somebody knock on your door and say, come up and say, in 1837, my grandpappy owned this property and there's no chain of title and we still own this property. Can you imagine somebody knocking on your door? That'd be crazy if they. But what the title policy is for, if that ever happens, God forbid, all you have to do is pick up the phone, call the title company where you closed, and they take care of the rest. There is title insurance. It's an actual insurance policy like your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance. And this title insurance will ensure that you properly and rightfully own your property and the land underneath it. Now, of course, in the state of Texas and neighborhoods, most of the time we don't own the mineral rights, but that's something completely different. So, what is your total out of pocket for closing? As I mentioned, here in Austin, Texas, closing costs are typically 2 to 2.5% of the sales price of the house. So, if you're talking about Susan and her $400,000 house that she bought, closing costs for her would be 2 to 2.5%. So, it would be $8 to $10,000. So, 2 times 4,000 or 2.5 times 4,000. So, $8 to $10,000 plus her down payment. So when you go back to that example, she had her down payment of $14,000 covered, plus she had $5,300 left over. If she's paying $10,000 in closing costs, 2.5%, then she's actually only paying $4,700 of that $10,000. The other was a gift. So down payment assistance programs are absolutely fantastic when you find the right one. When you find the right one. So, curious. There are lots of ways to get your down payment and closing costs. And I'm curious what you think of these things here. Do you think that you can use your 401k? Whoops, whoops, whoops. Your 401k. Do you think that you can use gift funds? Do you think that you can use stocks, bonds, and cash, credit cards? Use a second loan or undocumented cash? Well, you can use your retirement funds for your primary. You cannot use retirement funds for an investment property unless you have a specific retirement account. Gift funds, you can always hit up friends and family for funds to help you pay your down payment and closing costs. You just have to document them. Yes, you can sell stocks, bonds. Yes, you can use cash. No, you cannot buy a house with a credit card. You can get a second loan. If you want with a mortgage company, if you don't have enough for a down payment, you can actually get a second loan. And no, you cannot use undocumented cash. It's pretty crazy. I had a friend who was a realtor in Denver, and when they first allowed pot to be grown and the dispensaries to be open and all that, people had so much cash. They were coming to the closing table with like $400,000 worth of cash in a brown paper bag. And their title companies or their closing attorneys up there had to come up with a solution on how to verify the funds because people are showing up with a big bag of cash. We can't show up with a big bag of cash in the state of Texas. We got to prove where our money came from. So, there are some tips when you get ready to purchase a home, things you don't want to do. You don't want to change jobs. You don't want to open new credit cards, close old credit cards. Don't change banks. Don't transfer balances. Basically, you want your financial picture to be exactly the same. About 90 days to 120 days before you want to buy a house. And then until you purchase your house, you've made it to the closing table and you've gotten keys, and probably about 2 days after you closing, you don't want to change anything in your financial picture. We hear horror stories all the time that 3 days before closing, somebody goes to what is it called? Rooms to go or living spaces. And then they go buy their entire house full of furniture and they put it on a new line of credit at living spaces or rooms to go. And that affects your debt to income. And it is possible that you won't be able to buy the house. So it's so, so important not to change anything in your financial picture. Don't change anything. There's been some crazy stories. And, if you have a new job, say you're moving somewhere, moving into the area, or say you're here and you're moving into the Dallas area, a lender will take a letter of employment as proof of funds if you're moving into a new city. But if you're already here, it's best to have 3 months pay stubs and just wait to take that new job until you've closed. I actually have a client right now. She's about to retire. She's a little bit older and she's in a rental. And she said, I need to buy a house right now before I quit my job. Because as soon as she quits her job, she's not going to have a regular paycheck every month. She's just going to have her retirement. Even though she can afford the house, she just won't look as pretty to the lenders. And so we're going to help her buy a house now. And then she's going to quit her job as soon as she closes. So whatever works for us. So I get a lot of calls and a lot of questions about interest rates these days. And are any of y'all concerned with the interest rates that are happening right now? Basically, we're at 6.5% this week. Anybody concerned about that 6.5%? I have several clients that are really, really concerned about that. But if you look at this chart, you can see back in the early 80s, mortgage rates were 18%. That's insane. That's 3 times what it is right now. And if you look at the chart over the past 30 years since the early 70s, um, it yes, interest rates did dip down to 2.5%, 3% for a little bit of time, but just for a short blip of time. And if you look at it now, 6.5%, when you look at this chart, it doesn't look like that big of a deal. Honestly, it doesn't. And if, for example, you buy a house now at 6.5% down, 6.5% interest rate, and then interest rates go down, you can always refinance your house to a lower rate, which is relatively easy. And that's what a lot of people did when interest rates, they might have, bought a house in the early or, 2015, 2016, 2017, when interest rates were 6.5% before. And then when they dropped down to the 2.5 to 3%, they refinanced then. And so now they're locked in at the 2.5, 3%, but they did have to refinance. So that we just don't want you to be concerned or scared about the 6.5% interest rate, because in all reality, over time, 6.5% is not a big deal. So, again, a lot of information, but it is so valuable, so, so important and so valuable to learn a little bit about the lending process. And no matter what, we have you. We have great lenders that will help you with the style of property, with your finances, whatever your personal finances are. Um, Lenders that are really, really good that will help walk you through the entire process and hold your hand. Not to worry, not to worry. We have you every step of the way. And these lenders are fabulous. They're so good. Some of them I worked with for more than 10 years. So not to worry, we have you. Those of you who are on the call, if you can't stay, make sure to book a one-on-one call. Andrew and I really want to learn your personal situation and what's most valuable to you, learn a little bit about you, your family, your time, and what your plans are for purchasing a home. So make sure to go ahead and book a call with us. So mistake number 2. I actually tweaked this a little bit as I've been doing these webinars. Mistake number 2, thinking that renting is better than buying. This is a little bit of some investment philosophy that will help you understand about how you can build equity with purchasing a home. So, my opinion, my personal opinion, there are 2 ways to really build wealth. in the United States, historically, we don't know what the future holds with AI, etc. But historically, building wealth in the United States has either been through the stock market or from owning real estate. Um, it's, in my opinion, real estate is a real way to wealth. And if you're renting right now, you're paying your landlord's wealth. Each month you are building wealth for them. You're paying their taxes, their insurance, their mortgage, their principal, their interest, everything is what you're doing. And why don't you go ahead and buy a house for yourself? That way you can build your own equity instead of your landlord's. So, how do you, I love this. Did you know that in the United States, again, laws are written in the United States to build wealth with real estate and to have Americans be able to purchase a home? Did you know that as an individual, you can receive $250,000 of appreciation tax free if you're an individual and $500,000 as a couple, tax free when you sell your house? So think about this. You come to Austin, you buy a house up in Leander. I'm just making this up. You buy a house, you buy a resale house, you buy it for $400,000. You live in it for 20 years, 10 years. We'll just say 10 years. You live in it for 10 years. It was $400,000 when you bought it. Say that it goes up to $550,000, $525,000. Typically in the United States, homes double in value every 10 years. I cannot say the past 10 years they have because we've had a crazy real estate market up and down, but we have about 5% appreciation every year on average. So over 10 years, you're looking at $100,000, $150,000 in price appreciation on that house. Well, guess what? You can sell that house in Leander. You bought it at $400,000. You sell it at $550,000, and that entire $150,000 minus any kind of fees, you actually get to keep tax free. You can go do what you want with it. You can go buy another house. You can go on vacation. You can buy amazing clothes. You can put it in retirement, whatever you want to do. So, again, the laws are written for tax free income and tax savings when you own a house in the United States. Next is, did you know that you could rent your house for 14 days tax free? Again, it's another wealth building way of looking at real estate. It's called the Augusta rule. So back in the 70s, where I think it's the Masters is in Augusta, Georgia, they, of course, had ends with the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. And when the Masters were going on for the golf tournament, these people had these beautiful homes in Augusta, Georgia, but they did not want to be around when the Masters was going on. So they helped influence government to make this what is called the Augusta rule, which means that you can rent your house for 14 days every year, 100% tax free. Now, think about this in the Austin area. We have ACL, we have South by Southwest. We actually have 2 weekends at ACL. We have South by Southwest. We have MotoGP. We have Formula One every year. We have more and more events coming into town. Think about this. Maybe you don't want to rent your house. Maybe you do. I look at real estate as well, so I do rent my house. I take advantage of this 14-day rule. I can basically pay my taxes on my house every year by renting my house for this 14 days. I can pay my insurance and my taxes. So it's a great way to make some extra money and use your home as an asset. Here is another way to look at this for income, for wealth, for investment, etc. So say you buy a $500,000 house, you put 20% down. Well, that is $100,000. So you put in $100,000 for a $500,000 asset. Think about that. It costs you $100,000 to get a $500,000 asset. This is just an example. Well, in the Austin market, we have approximately 5% appreciation a year. Well, what is 5% of $500,000? You're not getting 5% on the money you put in. You're getting 5% on the value of the house. So you put in $100,000 into this house, 5% appreciation on a $500,000 house is $25,000. So your return this first year on your original investment is 25% of your down payment. That's pretty crazy. Now, it doesn't take into account your insurance, your taxes, your mortgage payments. We're just talking about your what it took to get the property, which was that $100,000, and what happens with the typical 5% appreciation in the Austin market. So if you think that you're saving money with renting a house or renting an apartment, I mean, maybe, maybe not, but you're building somebody else's wealth and somebody's equity. You have to pay to move. Your rent is not fixed. Your landlord may sell the property and you're going to have to move. Rents do go up. Mortgage payments are stable. It's really something to think about. Um, you also have to pay pet deposits. And sometimes if you have, there are a lot of people, it's like 80% of Austin has a pet of some sort. And working with a lot of landlords, some won't allow cats, some don't allow pit bulls or Staffordshire Terriers, some won't allow this, that, and the other. You don't have to pay another pet deposit again. You can put in a pet door. You can do anything as we talked at the beginning of the call. When you own your property, if you want to paint the walls purple, go ahead, you can. You can do anything you want to your house. So, um, something else that is interesting, I did mention that Austin has about 5% appreciation every single year. Well, there are some big things happening in our market. We have been in a downtrending market for the past 3 years. So our market shifted. We were bananas, crazy going up until the end of 2022. So 2023, 4, and 5 have been a little, 1 year's okay, 1 year's not so great. But in general, we're about 10% down, depending on where you are. Some areas further out are around 15% down from the highs. But this is what's happening in the Austin market. We have the new convention center coming that's opening in 2029. Do you know that we already have like 415 events booked? They're adding to the light rail. They're doubling the size of our airport. I-35 is expanding. They're adding the UT Medical Center. There's so much growth still happening in Austin, and my opinion is that government in Austin is finally catching up and realizing that they can't keep our town small anymore. For a long time, they were like, we don't want change. Well, change is coming no matter what, because this has always been an entrepreneurial city. It's always been a fun city. There's always been a lot of life and energy in this city, and people are coming. There were, as you can see here, 54,000 people moved to Austin in 2025. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people, and it's not stopping. So if you want to buy real estate, this is a great place to buy real estate. So, whew, how's that? How's that, everybody, for lending and the value of purchasing a home, using it as wealth, and especially purchasing a home in the Austin area with all the growth that we're having? Remember, if you go ahead and book a call, if you're interested in booking a call. So mistake number 3, buying directly from the seller and their listing agent. This is a big no-no. This is a big no-no. Let's start where, well, it's actually not having representation in general. You definitely want to have representation. It's not just buying directly from the listing agent. It is having representation in general. We know the process. We are doing this on a regular basis. We're doing this multiple times a month. You want to have somebody on your side no matter what. So let's go ahead and start with the buyer representation agreement and what that means. So now in the United States, you have to sign a buyer rep prior to going to see a home with a realtor. You can sign a 1 day, you can sign a multi-day, you can sign a one property buyer rep agreement. Um, you don't, you can also sign it for several months. It really doesn't matter, but you do have to sign a buyer rep agreement before you actually go see a house. Also in the state of Texas, the first time that we meet you and have considered a significant conversation, we have to present the information about brokerage services. This is a document just stating what the minimum duties are for us as realtors and you as consumers or as clients. Now, let's talk about why you would not buy a home directly from the seller and the listing agent. So, in the state of Texas, listing agents work for the seller. They have a signed document working for the seller. They are not working for you. They may say that they are working or helping you, but legally they cannot. This state doesn't have what is called dual agency, and dual agency means that a realtor can work for both sides of the transaction. Here in the state of Texas, an agent can only work for one side of the transaction. So no matter what you do, if you are trying to negotiate through the listing agent, that listing agent is telling that seller everything you say. If you say, "Oh, I'm so excited about the house. Oh, I could go up a little bit more on the house. Oh, I could offer a little bit more." Or if you're saying, "Oh, I haven't gotten pre-qualified." If you're telling the listing agent this, it is that listing agent's fiduciary responsibility to tell that seller every single thing that you say to protect their seller. That's who they're working for. You want to make sure, and I promise you are not getting a better deal. I promise you're not getting a better deal. You want to make sure that you have somebody on your side that knows how to fill out the forms, that knows how to negotiate, that can fill out the contract, that can help you navigate the entire process. You do not want to go directly to the seller. Next is you don't want to buy directly from a builder. This is a huge, huge no-no. It's worse. It's really worse than trying to negotiate for yourself with a seller and a listing agent. It can cost you so much money, so many headaches, and you can end up in a lemon of a house. I'll tell you that. I have seen some horror stories and heard some horror stories about clients who thought they could go get a deal with a builder. And they go into the model home and they're like, "Oh, I talked to Susie. Susie helped me and she was so helpful and she's lovely." And then they end up with a nightmare of a house because they didn't do their due diligence. They walked in and didn't have representation. And here's the thing. When you buy directly from a builder, cute Susie, who is the on-site sales rep, who's she get paid by? She gets paid from the builder. The lender. Wait, you use their preferred lender. Well, guess how they're getting a kickback? They're getting paid by the builder. The title company, you're using the builder's preferred title company. Well, guess what? They work for the builder. The on-site contractor and GC on working on that house. Well, who pays his paycheck and takes care of him? The builder. That means if you walk in to a model home by yourself and you try and buy a house, everyone is working for the builder and no one is working for you. It's so, so important to walk in that first time into the model home with your realtor. The first time you walk into a model home, first of all, you need to tell your realtor you're going. And really and truly, you want to meet your realtor there and not go on your own. But the first time that you walk into a model home, if, for example, you went to an open house on the weekend and you happen to pop by, the on-site salesperson is going to say, "Hey, will you fill out a guest card?" Well, yes, you fill out a guest card. But what you want to do is on that guest card, you want to say, it says, "Are you represented? Do you have a realtor?" You want to say yes, and you want to put your realtor's name in there because some builders can be a little shifty. They can be. Not all of them, but a few of them can be. And that if you walk in, even though you're represented and you don't fill out that guest card saying you have a realtor, when your realtor calls on your behalf or wants to look over the contract with you, that builder will say, no, so sorry, you didn't fill it out originally. So you don't have any representation. Now, my opinion of that is everyone deserves representation. I think it's horrible that a builder would do that, and it's actually quite litigious if they do that, but that's just my personal opinion. So make sure, no matter what, that you are walking in that model home for the first time with your realtor, and make sure that you are filling out that guest card with your realtor's name on it. And I promise you're not getting a better deal because you think you're doing it on your own. Here's the thing. If you're worried about your realtor's commissions come out of the builder's marketing budget. They market to us. They send us emails. They send us all the deals on in the neighborhood. They invite us to events to get us to come out to the neighborhoods and learn more about them, more about their build styles, more about their models and all that kind of stuff. They are marketing to us. And so our fees, our professional fees, actually come out of the marketing budget, don't come out of the sales price of the house. Just because you go and look at the house and you think, I'm going to come to the house and buy it all by myself without my realtor or any representation, they're not going to give you a certain percentage discount because you're not walking in with a realtor, because it's not the same money. They have a build cost and then they have a marketing cost. So, additionally, doing this on your own, you don't know who to talk to about inspections. You don't have access to running comps to make sure that those builders are not overcharging you. And you don't have someone that is there that has done this hundreds and hundreds of times to point out pitfalls in the house, because really and truly, that builder wants you, they don't want you around a lot. I can tell you that. They don't want you around a lot. But they do want you around for a couple of walkthroughs and buyer orientation. And one of the walkthroughs is drywall, pre-drywall, which means you're walking around the bones of the house. And it's not common for individuals to know what their house looks like just by the guts. A lot of my clients go into their pre-drywall walkthrough and they don't even know which room they're walking into. So and they don't know what the 2x4s are supposed to look like, and they don't know what all of this stuff. So make sure that you have representation to help you with the walkthroughs, the inspections, etc. So the recap for 3 and 4 is be represented. We want to be representation. We want to help you, but even if you don't choose us, we want to make sure that you are represented in your home buying process. It's kind of like, I mean, if you don't have representation, I don't know, what can I use it as an example? I guess it's kind of like planning your retirement without getting help, or, trying to figure out what is wrong with you health-wise and, just Googling how to do it, or chat GBT, what's wrong with me when you need surgery, instead of going to the doctor and getting help from a doctor. I don't really know what to say, but you definitely want representation. So, mistake number 5 is not spending time and money, because it costs money to be under contract on a house. Not spending time and money on your inspections. So skipping the home inspections can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. And y'all, I love this photo. I think it is so funny because it looks like it looks like the Little House of Horrors. This house, it looks like the ceiling is just above the guy's head, about 6 inches, and all of the pitfalls. Of course, most houses we walk into don't look like this, but there are pitfalls that are hidden. So it can cost you thousands of dollars by not spending a little bit of money on your inspections. So again, we have incredible inspectors for anything that you need. Um, The general inspection is the first thing that you do once you go under contract. The first thing you do is we make sure the inspector comes out, and then you can come out and review what the inspector finds. It's their job to open up the windows, check the HVAC, check the hot water heater, climb up on the roof, go into the attic, make sure all the electrical outlets work, make sure there's no previous leaks. They look for all of these pitfalls, and that's about $650. Another inspection is a foundation inspection. We do have foundation issues in the city of Austin. Um, your general inspector will give you an idea whether you should have a foundation inspection or not. But they're typically about $125. Roof inspection, if I think that there's been any hail damage or the roof looks old, we go ahead and have a roofer come out and take a look at it because it's always good to know because a new roof is about $10,000 and the prices keep going up as inflation is starting to happen. So right now it's about $12,000 for a new roof. Plumbing inspections, if your plumbing is older, if you're buying an older home, and uh, they actually come and check. They run a camera through all the lines of the house, and you can see whether there are tree roots or are there any cracks in the lines. And that's about $600. Electrical depends on the cost of the service call. Septic and well, not most of us are not. We're using city water, and city sewer, so we don't have to worry about that. So the first step is your general inspection, about $650. All these other ones are only if we think those are necessary. So I have plenty of clients that just get a general inspection. We negotiate any repairs. And typically in our market, I would say right now, buyers are getting about 50% of what they ask for. So it's typical to ask, sometimes you can ask for money in lieu of repairs, or you can ask for the actual repairs. It really depends on the situation. So say that, you need the HVAC serviced and you need $1,000 worth of repairs on the roof and you need a leak fixed. I'm just making these things up. So let's say that all of that is about $2,000. You could actually ask for the physical repairs to be done, or you could ask for the $2,000. When you ask for the money or you ask for the repairs, when I said buyers get about 50% of what they're asking for, that means that they're going to come back. If you've asked for $2,000, expect to get about $1,000. If you've asked for three or four things, expect the seller to mark off a couple of them and take care of a couple of them. So basically 50% of what you're asking for. So, oops, there we go. And again, as I've stated many times during this class, don't worry, we got you every step of the way. The home buying process takes about the contract takes about 30 days from the time you go into contract to the time you close. Backing that up, you're going to spend about 60 days in advance looking at homes, getting pre-qualified, getting all your ducks in a row, getting everything done. So the whole home buying process will take about 90 days. Now, if you have credit concerns, you want to talk to lenders and do credit repair work about 9 to 12 months in advance. So let's just make sure that we are setting you up for success, whether it's now or next year. And also, you want to make sure that if you're in a lease, you want to make sure that your timing is correct, that you're not paying multiple months of mortgage along with multiple months of your rent. We can give you some tools to negotiate with your current landlord to help you out of the lease. We can also help strategize timing wise to make sure that you're not spending a lot of extra money by paying a mortgage and a rent at the same time. We can help you time that correctly. So that's just some of the things that we can help you with. So the bonus mistake. These are mistakes not to make at closing day. It's so funny. I've seen some crazy things at closing day. Crazy, crazy thing. I mean, some bananas things. So this is so important not to make these mistakes. And congratulations, it's closing day. Yep, whoop whoop. It's so exciting. You made it to closing. That's my favorite part. My favorite part is handing y'all the keys. And my favorite part is standing in front of the house like this couple here and taking a photo of you in front of your house. It's my favorite thing. It's my reward for helping you through the entire process. So here are some closing day pitfalls. Oh my goodness. Whew. So, number one is do not skip the final inspection. So, it's typical to do a final walkthrough of your house about an hour before you go to closing. Um, it's not a full on check everything. It's just to make sure that the seller has gotten out of the house, all their belongings are out of the house, nothing is sitting in the front yard, etc. I had a buyer go to closing once and there was still a pod in the driveway. Actually, recently, I had a buyer's closing that we got there, and the seller's U-Haul van was in the driveway, and they had like 5 boxes at the front door, and we were supposed to close in an hour. So I had to call the listing agent and be like, hey, your clients have got to get their stuff out of here. They're not going to own the house anymore. And I ensured that the seller had gotten rid of those things prior to us signing documents. So anyway, it's just some crazy things. Um, Something for you as a buyer, please do not have your moving truck at the house the day of closing, like the morning. Say you're closing, say you do your final walk at 10, you close at 11. Please don't have that moving truck there at 11:30. Because what has to happen is you have to sign documents, the seller has to sign documents, you have to have your money at the title company verified. Like if you're using a cashier's check, you have to have your money there 2 days before so they can verify it. You have to make sure your wire is there if you're using a wire instead of cashier's check. The lender's money has to be at the title company. And then the lender has to review all the signed documents and give their blessing for the transaction to fund. It's not until that happens, the word you are funded happens, that you are allowed to get keys to the house. So in all reality, typically, this is typical, you will get your keys about 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours after you close. Now, that being said, sometimes there are glitches, sometimes things happen and you don't close on time, or something has to be pushed the next day. So you definitely don't want to have your moving truck sitting there a half an hour after you close because you might not be able to let that moving truck unload. I always recommend to my clients to have the moving truck move you the next day just in case any problems happen. You want to make sure you turn on your utilities. Oh my goodness, I've had clients go to the closing table and they're like, oh no, I forgot to turn on my utilities. And then they go and it's in the middle of the summer in Austin, Texas, and it's 100 degrees and there's no AC in the house. As I previously mentioned, please do not make any large purchases or put anything on credit a couple of days before closing. And honestly, sometimes, not very often, sometimes mortgage companies will go double check your debt and your income the day after you close or 2 days after you close. So really and truly, you really don't want to put anything on credit. Go buy that furniture, go buy that car, change jobs or whatever for 3 or 4 or 5 days after you close. You need time to let your mortgage, what I say, settle in or mature, settle in. Um, so there we go, everybody. Let's review what we have learned today. Um, we've discussed what loans are, look, it says my hand's up. What loans are available to you, what types of mortgages are out there. Um, Things to look for about DPAs or down payment assistance programs. You want to make sure that you are getting pre-approval and pre-qualified. That's two different words. They're a little bit different. Pre-qualification comes before pre-approval. Before seeing homes, that's extremely important. You want to be prepared for have some reserves because you're going to have your down payment, you're going to have your closing costs, you're going to have your moving costs, and I promise you're going to want to buy stuff as soon as you buy your house. You're going to want to change something in the house, and then you're going to want to go buy curtains and more stuff. So you have to have some cash reserves. Next, you want to hire a realtor. Go ahead and interview different people. I have a YouTube video about questions to ask your buyer's agent, and I'm happy to send it to you if you'd like. We would, again, Andrew and I would love to help you, and we would love to represent you. And um, we work exclusively with our clients, exclusively. No, no shenanigans, everybody. But um, also, don't go directly to the builder. Don't buy directly from the listing agent because they're not helping you. Don't skip your home inspections and avoid the moving day pitfalls. I'm just curious, do you guys feel that you've learned something during this class today? Do you feel a little more educated, a little more at ease with the home buying process? Put a one in, love it. Yep, definitely. Yep, 100%. Yeah. I love doing this class because it provides so much value to you guys and makes everything easier on you. And at the end of the day, that is my goal personally is to make the transaction easy and seamless and a lot of fun. We do have a lot of fun doing this. It is a lot of fun to buy a house. So we hope that you are more confident in the home buying process. And again, we would love to spend more time with you. So please go ahead and book a call. This is a 30-minute call. We have a phone conversation. We get to learn more about you and your personal goals, where you want to buy, what your timing is, where you're leasing, if you're moving in from out of state, what part of town. We can give you some tips for finding the right neighborhoods and doing things like one of my favorite tips is to tell if you're not quite sure where to go, where you want to live, go to the HEBs in the neighborhoods where you think you want to live and see if the people wandering around that HEB are going to be your besties or not. Or walk around the neighborhoods in the evenings when everyone is home or on the weekends and see if you like the people walking around, see if they're friendly, see if you like their dogs, take your dog, have a great time. It's really easy to get to know different areas of town just by doing those two things. Go to the HB and walk around the neighborhood. So again, this was a free class. Having a consultation with Andrew or I, and me, both of us. It's a free consultation. Currently in this market, buyer representation agreements, I charge 3% for my services. In this market, though, it is still typically that the seller is paying for our services. So you can hire us at zero cost to you 99.9999% of the time. So think about that. You get 1,000 transactions worth of knowledge for free. That's a big deal. And I promise we care and we want to help you successfully get into the house of your dreams. So make sure to book a call with us. Definitely. This is what my calendar looks like. So this is, and I have specific times open for you guys tonight as my calendar gets quite full. So I've opened up certain times. I'll even consult on the weekends as well. So any questions at the moment from y'all? Anybody have any questions? If not, a big heartfelt thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Yes, I can provide the information on the lenders. I can get that to you. I think both Andrew and I have your email address, and we'll send an email with the lenders and we can connect you. We can connect you with the lenders via text or email, whichever you prefer. So I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for being here. It's been such a treat. This is a really special career for me. I've done this a long time and I believe in homeownership. I believe in real estate as wealth. Um, I mean, I was an investor prior to being a realtor, and now I get to help other people realize their dreams using real estate as the tool. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here. And yeah, let's connect, book a call, and I cannot wait to see you guys very, very soon. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to stop.